Hello and welcome back, everybody, to a little bit of r/ProRevenge, a classic on this channel. Feels good to be back. My name's Ryan, the official host here on Reddit Voice, and I look forward to bringing you guys today's top stories. Before I do, however, I'd really appreciate it if you could hit that subscribe button, as well as make sure you got notifications turned on, that way you could stay up to date with all the latest and the greatest. Now that we went and knocked out all the formalities, allow me to introduce you to today's story. It's by you/Watkanobe, and it's called Changing a Big Fat Target on My Back to My Boss Being Escorted Out by Security. This happened a few years ago, but the story appears to be a good match for this sub. I was one of two commercial writers/producers working in the production department of a local TV station. Our department was responsible for producing both the newscasts and commercials for clients who purchased airtime on our station. The department is high stress. I had to manage multiple deadlines and provide creatives for about a dozen ad campaigns every month. That being said, I always met my deadlines, and our sales department was always complimentary of my work, steering the more important clients my way. Unfortunately, managers in my department came and went with unsettling frequency. In the 9 years I was there, I had 6 different managers. Most often, the managers were passing through with their sights set on snagging upper-level management jobs in larger TV markets. This meant their experience actually doing the work of TV production was often minimal, so they had a tendency to not interfere with our work so long as clients were happy and deadlines are being met. Given the managers were so disengaged, I told our general sales manager about my idea for saving time and money in the department, and he suggested I apply for the production manager position the next time it opened up. So I did, but I didn't get the job. I was told I was too important maintaining good client relationships through my work as a producer. No big deal. I thought I was happy as a producer. Unfortunately, the person they did hire for the position ended up being a monumental a-hole of the first order. I'll call him Bob. The first thing Bob wanted to know was who in the department had applied for the position he now filled. I don't know what idiot in upper management thought it would be a good idea to tell him, but someone did. It soon became apparent that he wanted to find any excuse he could to fire me, because that was just the kind of insecure idiot he was. It began by him writing me about the time I was taking to complete commercial productions. Then he accused me of undercharging clients in my billing. He wanted me to wear a suit and tie, which he knew I hated. As the writing on the wall became clear, I began documenting every single interaction with him, taking notes about what was said and contradicting his accusations with the facts. All the while, he's managing to piss a whole lot of people off in our department, and morale really began to tank. Bob was petty, vain, and given things like announcing how lavish and wonderful a vacation he was planning would be. He was also going to Aruba, so he'd put up travel posters and he'd print out a ridiculous sign he taped to his office door that would say something like, "My island adventure begins in 2 weeks." All this served to remind us that he was the only one in our department who made enough money to take that kind of vacation. Eventually, an incident occurred where I missed a deadline through no fault of my own. The client wanted to change up the creatives at last minute, and we had to bump the film shoot. Somehow, Bob got it in his head that I should have been a mind reader and anticipated the client's wishes before they were communicated. He calls me into his office and begins berating and threatening me. I had had enough. I'm the kind of person who would take a lot of crap with patience and grace, but when I'm finally pushed to my boiling point, I just explode. I started yelling back, "You're a frickin' liar! And if you think I don't know how to handle this client, buddy, then fine. Let me see you frickin' do it, 'cause I'm outta here." And then I walked off the job. I'm so amped up by what just transpired after leaving the office that I walked all the way home, a distance of more than 6 miles. Just as I'm nearing my house, my cell phone rings. It's Bob. Evidently, it just dawned on him that he would, in fact, have to produce the ad campaign himself because our other producer had the week off. He hemmed and hawed, and he finally blurted out something that was quite revealing. "If we lose this client, we'll both get fired, and I can't afford to lose another job." Really? So you've been fired from all your other jobs? What a fucking surprise. I tell him to eat my shorts because I'm not taking his crap for one more minute. All the while, I'm literally trembling with knowledge that I've walked off the job without another job to go to, and I have a wife and 2 kids to support. Thankfully, the next call I get is from the general sales manager. You know, the guy who recommended I apply for Bob's job, resulting in the whole shitstorm. By now, news of my blow-up evidently made back to him. He asks about what happened, I fill him in and apologize for walking off the job, while also telling him there's no way I'm working for Bob. He says, "Yup, leaving work wasn't a good idea, so do me a favor and come back. Email me the details of what happened and I'll see what I can do." Thanks to my copious note-taking of all my interactions with Bob, it takes me no time at all to send him the complete history of Bob's boobery. So I return, hoping to avoid Bob. Thankfully, his door was closed and I kept my head down in a cubicle. A half an hour before quitting time, I notice our GM and a security guard getting off the elevator together. I stand up to see where they're headed, and I'm elated to see it's directly towards Bob's office. What transpires is even better than the revenge options I was contemplating. Bob emerges from his office carrying a box of his belongings, including the rolled-up Aruba travel poster, and is then escorted by the security guard to the escalator. Now standing up in my cubicle, he turns towards me, his face beet red with embarrassment as our eyes meet. I flash an ear-to-ear grin as the dipshit is now gone. TLDR, while working as a producer at a TV station, the manager who got the job I applied for makes getting me fired his personal mission, only to end up getting fired himself. Our next story is from Zero Lieber, and it's called Stealing from Locker, Enjoy Your Trophy. One of the recent posts here reminded me of a story from my father. English is not my mother tongue, so please ignore mistakes in writing. He worked in a factory in Eastern Europe, and an event occurred somewhere in the 1980s. I know how weird it looks now in 2020s, but at the time it was pretty common that workers in the factory would come home from work drunk, or they would drink alcohol at work. My father was not much different, and he would occasionally bring home a bottle of brandy and keep it in his locker. These lockers were pretty easy to access without a key, as you'd just need a screwdriver or some piece of metal and the door would easily be bent and returned to the original afterwards. The factory was working in shifts, and when you come in the next day, you would just notice that someone opened your locker and that something is missing that you left inside a day earlier. As my father was bringing quite good booze, it would be missing the next day. After who knows how many times his booze was stolen, he had enough of it and decided to set a trap for a thief. The brandy he usually bought was a color similar to whiskey, due to being matured in oak casks, and he took an empty bottle to the toilet and filled it with his urine and locked it back in his locker and went home after his shift was over. As shifts were slightly overlap, there was no break in factory process. Next day, when he would come to work, people from previous shifts were still there. He came to his locker and noticed that the bottle was completely missing. He came to the workspace and loudly asked if anyone knows what had happened to the bottle with urine from his locker. He said that he had to go do a medical check and that he might have some urinary infection of some sort, so he had to bring in morning urine. But he had forgotten it in his locker the day earlier. One of the guys turned red and started yelling at my father on how he dared leave urine in a bottle labeled as brandy, that someone could have easily mistakenly drinking and gotten seriously sick. After that, his locker was not robbed ever again, and that guy had gotten a new nickname, Piss Drinker. And there you have it, folks. We have officially reached the end of today's epics. Did you like them? Be sure to leave a like on this video and also subscribe with notifications turned on so you could stay up to date with all future videos. We've been mixing it up quite a bit, throwing different types of content onto the channel here and there, even done a few video game live streams in the past. But we are going to be returning back to our regularly scheduled programming for the most part here soon. Starting with this very ProRevenge. Are there any other subreddits you want me to check out? Let me know about it in the comments section below, and maybe it'll be my next video. I actually recently did a reading your comments video not too long ago, and sent all those audio logs over to our producer and editor, However, unfortunately, it looks like it is not quite ready yet, so you guys are just going to have to wait a bit longer. In the meantime, this outro has run a little long, so I guess I should wrap it up here. As always, it's me, Ryan, the official host here on Reddit Voice, and I really hope you guys liked today's videos. If you did, be sure to subscribe, because I'm not going anywhere, baby. We got plenty more content to come. All that being said, I will see you guys in the next video.